Garcia, Lieutenant Harper from the Lakeland Police Department, as well as our colleagues from One More Child Anti-Trafficking Organization, Jody Bennett, Dr. Mary Ann Thomas, and Krista Hicks. And I will lay out an overview of our operation that we worked with the Lakeland Police Department, the Winter Haven Police Department, the Haines City Police Department, and the St. Petersburg Police Department. Our goal here is to identify and stop human trafficking, identify victims of human trafficking and stop human trafficking. We did a 6-day operation. We arrested 154 people on 46 felony charges and 202 misdemeanor charges. Now, I'd like to point out, when you look at this wall, that these folks collectively had a total of 1,262 previous criminal charges. 567 were felony charges, 202 were misdemeanor charges, and we'll highlight some of those folks in just a minute. But the primary goal is to rescue victims from human trafficking and to arrest people that are buying human beings. And that's what these guys were doing when they were seeking the services of these ladies. In addition to that, because of the great work of our team that works child predators, and quite frankly, the two ladies that do that for us are simply the best, not in the state of Florida, but in the United States. We were able to identify, and we're going to talk about 2 child predators. I can tell you the deviant acts these folks wanted to engage in if we'd not made another arrest in the 6 days with the resources that we used. The fact that we got those 2 child sexual predators would have made it a grand slam week. If whoever calls me there would just wait till this press conference is over, I'll be glad to talk to them, but I'm busy right now. So, when you see the team that's together here, not only law enforcement, but our colleagues and friends from One More Child Anti-Trafficking, you see how serious we are. We will talk about their work in just a minute, and we'll let them expound upon it, but they had the opportunity to interview and interact with every one of those that we arrested. But where did they come from? You know, I'm disappointed. 54 of them came from Polk County this time. You people in Polk County know better. You've been living under a rock or what? We don't allow this in Polk County, so figure it out. Quit coming to these operations unless, of course, you really like my county jail, because that's where you're going to end up. 44 were arrested from Hillsborough County. Now, you get the same news coverage. What's wrong with y'all? And Pinellas County as well. But let me tell our friends from Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, New Jersey, Georgia, Nevada, Michigan, Texas, Massachusetts, and North Carolina, who all got arrested. Welcome to Florida on vacation. You're going to leave on probation. 30 of these folks were married. That's right. Their wives were at home or at work, and they were out messing around with prostitutes and had the opportunity to bring HIV or AIDS home to their family. 8 of them were on public assistance. That's right. You, the taxpayer, were paying for them to go out and either solicit prostitution or provide services. So let's go through our poster children. Number 1, James Michaels. I can't say enough bad stuff about James Michaels. He's a child predator. He's a child sexual predator. He not only is a child sexual predator, he enjoys and deals in child pornography. He traveled from Lutz to Polk County thinking he was going to meet up with a 14-year-old boy, a child, to engage him in sexual conduct. Here's what he said: "I like to train newbies." And he said all kinds of ugly stuff that we can't talk about on television. When he arrived, he was in possession of more than 200 different pieces of child pornography. He talked about wanting to have unprotected sex with a child. And yet he admitted to us that he was HIV positive. Focus on this a minute. This is a 34-year-old man who said in his communication he was 24, like that makes a difference, who lied and talked about how clean he was when in fact he was HIV positive, when he bragged of and wanted to have unprotected sex with a child while he was HIV positive. There's not enough ugly words in the world to say about that man. So we charged him with additional charges, not only traveling to meet a minor, not only his communication to meet a minor, but about lying. It's against the law to lie about your HIV status and to lie about your age. He worked for Progressive Insurance and Sales. Well, Progressive, scratch him off. He ain't coming back to work. He's going to prison for a long time. He is the number one meanest, ugliest, nastiest person of all of them on that board. And he ranks among the ugliest and the nastiest that we've ever dealt with, and scariest, by the way. Then there's Warren Smith. He's 55. He certainly should know better by now. He's married. He was happily married. His wife's got to be having a fit. He's got adult children. But he thought he was traveling to have sex with a 14-year-old. That's right. He's a business analyst for Aetna, according to him. He described all kind of vicious, nasty sex acts that he wanted to have. And he lives in Riverview. He's also locked up in jail. This person is only second to James Michaels, 55 years old. So let's go through some of our others. Matthew Wostasak, common spelling, we'll provide it. That's my Polk County explanation of how you say his last name. He was a driver, possibly a pimp. The prostitute that he brought wouldn't cooperate. He's got a criminal history from prison for robbery where he was sentenced to 2 to 20 years. He has 22 previous criminal charges. He's from St. Petersburg, and he installs flooring. So if this guy shows up to install flooring at your house, you got a real loser. I doubt he's any good at installing flooring either. And then there's Tanika Pearson. We're showing these folks because you think, oh, this is just misdemeanors, second-degree misdemeanors, minor nonviolent crimes. Well, Tanika's 39. She's from Haines City. She's got previous charges for escape, robbery, resisting arrest, battery on a firefighter, 20 previous criminal charges. When she's not busy prostituting, she's a cook at Popeye's Chicken. Doesn't that make you want to eat at Popeye's? Her advertisement was, "I'm large and in charge." Well, she's large and in the county jail as a result of coming there to solicit men to engage her in sex. And then there's Jennifer West from St. Pete. She is a waitress at a restaurant. She has 15 felony and misdemeanor charges. She's been to prison for what? Robbery. How about Keith Strang? Old Keith is 49 years old. Keith was sent to prison in Georgia for 7 years for robbery. He has a history of 29 felony and misdemeanor charges. He is married. I know his wife is not pleased with him. She might have been upset about the robbery charge, but I bet she's not near as mad about the robbery charge as she is about him out hooking up with ladies and paying money that probably she earned legitimately. Then there's Kevin Burt Green. He's our oldest one this time. He's 69. He was soliciting a prostitute. He has a history of vehicular homicide from Costa Rica. They will not extradite him. He's married and he lives in Polk County. We even got with Costa Rica and said, we'll pay to send him back. They said, no thanks, you keep him. That's right. He killed somebody in Costa Rica and they won't extradite him. And when we offered to pay, all they've got to do is take him back and hold him accountable. They go, you just keep him. Well, he's got another misdemeanor. I think that's a problem. How about Mahassan Valentine? He's 40, or she's 40. She brought her 9-year-old son. That's right, she came to turn a trick, brought her 9-year-old son, who stayed in the car with her boyfriend, not the child's father. She gets $500 a month in food stamps or an EBT card. She's unemployed. She lives in Lakeland. Okay, let's wrap our minds around that. We as taxpayers are paying our hard-earned wages, and we don't mind helping those in need. But she's making $500 a month off of us to go out and sell herself as a prostitute. I got a problem with that. A real problem with that. And then there's Pedro and Lucy. Pedro is from Santa Rosa Beach. He's 28. He solicited a prostitute. Did I tell you that he's in the U.S. Army and the E6 staff sergeant assigned to recruiting in Panama City? Did I tell you that he's married? Did I tell you that he and his wife and his children were here on vacation so he could take his children to Legoland? Are you kidding me? Pedro, what is wrong with you? You're here with your wife and children to go to Legoland and you're out soliciting prostitutes? Come on, man. Are you nuts? I bet Mama's not proud. I know the U.S. Army's not proud, and they both know about it now. So, then we have Camilo Valencia. He's 30. He's a custodian at Kathleen High School Aerospace. He was charged with a count of battery and soliciting because he actually grabbed our undercover. He left his 10-year-old child with his mother while he solicited a prostitute. He gets $593 a month in federal assistance, according to him. Think about that. Did he take some of our taxpayers' money to solicit the prostitute? He left the child home with his mother? I mean, what do you tell? Hey, Mom, can you watch my son a while I go out and hook up with a prostitute? What do you tell your mom? What does your mom say? Have a good night, son? Be careful. Don't get HIV. Duck Grady. And then there's Robert Shackelford. He's 58. He's from Worthington, Ohio. He's married. He's an IT manager for Stonecrop Technologies in Lakeland. Apparently they have offices here and in Ohio. You know, he didn't want to cooperate and tell us who he was. Can you imagine that? He's an IT manager. He didn't want to tell us who he is. Newsflash, Robert, watch the evening news. Or you can go to Facebook Live and see your picture. When you're here visiting from Ohio, we expect you to behave or we're going to lock you up. And it makes no difference whether or not you cooperate. We have these magical systems that can find out who you are and that you violated the law. So at the end of the day, it's important to understand that these ladies couldn't work if it weren't for these guys here. And we worked very hard together to protect people and to help people. So let me turn it over to Chief Garcia for a few words of wisdom, and then we'll turn it over to Krista, who's going to speak to us. Chief.
Good morning. You know, when you look at that board, you have to wonder how far, it's just not those folks on that board, but how far that spiders out, you know. How many families are actually affected by the activity of these folks. There's a lot of hard work that went into those 6 days. But if it was for nothing more than just those couple of guys that are in the middle of that, they're true predators, and those couple of juveniles that they were able to rescue out of this sexual business, that would be an operation well served. I'd take my short time this morning just to thank the detectives and supervisors that pulled this operation off. Excuse me. I want you to think about, they don't unhear all the stuff they hear when they do these operations. They don't unsee all the stuff they see when they see them. They have to go out and deal with folks who are actually engaged in this type of stuff, and then they have to go home and try to be a normal human again and interact with their family. So that's 6 long days that these supervisors and detectives work to locate these folks. So I think we certainly owe a great debt of thanks to them. So I just want to tell them thank you this morning and let you know that the Lakeland Police Department certainly appreciates our partnership with the Polk County Sheriff's Office and the other law enforcement agencies. So thank you.
Our community cares about stopping the buying and selling of sex. It's unacceptable, and you heard already that men and predators are driving to buy sex from what they think is a child. We have to come together as a community to stop this. Polk County Sheriff's Office inviting us to participate in this sting is one of the many examples of how much they care. Together, we're both passionate about stopping sex trafficking. We're passionate about building communities where children and teenagers can grow up and not have to worry about being vulnerable, that there are people out there wanting to buy them and people out there wanting to sell them. This operation speaks to how much we all say this is unacceptable. It's a tragic injustice. It's a generational problem often. You know, the adult women, many of them have been victimized when they were younger. We got to come into contact with teenagers who do not even know the people out there trying to buy them. They are vulnerable and they need help. They need our services. And through this operation and our partnership, we were able to offer that. People should not be bought. People should not be sold. Through this operation, we were able, in partnership with Open Doors Outreach Network, where One More Child, we are a provider, we are able to offer services to 25 individuals. That's 25 lives who have the opportunity to change. At One More Child, we offer those wraparound services in 9 counties. The Open Doors Outreach Network services in total are offered in 32 counties. And the One More Child Safe Home for trafficked minor teenagers and children serves throughout the state of Florida. Operations like this make sure that we're able to put a stop to these generational cycles. We're able to make sure that we send a loud message that it is not okay to buy people for sex. If you or anyone you know has a history of exploitation and is in need of services, please contact One More Child. You can reach us at onemorechild.org. And again, thank you to the Polk County Sheriff's Office for allowing us to participate, and thank you to all of those who came and served. We're grateful to live in a community that cares.
Before I close this out, as you look at this group of prostitutes, I want you to understand that every one of them may be a victim of human trafficking. When you look at the history and who got them into the business and how they got into the business, the stories they tell are frightening. And the really great thing about our teamwork that we have today with One More Child Anti-Trafficking organization is that they will follow up with every one of these folks. Now, they interacted with them the night that they came to deliver services, but what makes this successful is that they don't give up on them. We're short-term problem solvers. We stopped the problem that night, but we have to go on to other criminal conduct. The beautiful thing about our partnership is they're going to follow up day after day, week after week, month after month, and they won't give up on these ladies. So thank you all very much, because our goal is to help these, and many times they fight us and resist us at the front end of this process. But when they see someone like these ladies care and they don't give up, we can be successful. So with that, we'll take any questions that you may have.
Grady, you said 1/3 of the people are from Polk County, and you also pointed out that they should know better. What's going on with Polk County? Why so many folks are not getting the message?
Do you know, it's interesting that many agencies, police agencies across the state and nation, don't enforce these laws, or just enforce the laws when they see them walking on the street and they're a visual nuisance. These folks didn't make any noise because they were online. They came to an undercover location, which happened to be a motel room this time. So most police agencies, if it doesn't make noise, they don't investigate it. That's not so with the sheriff's office here and our colleagues from Lakeland, Haines City, Winter Haven, in fact, all our police departments in this county. It's like saying if we don't make any drug arrests, then there's no drugs. So the reality is these folks, 1/3 of them or so came from Polk County, 2/3 of them came from other places, and they came from all over the nation. Be abundantly clear on one thing. If you come here and engage in this conduct, you will be arrested. If you weren't arrested in this operation, you'll be arrested in the next one. And I think 1 or 2 have been arrested by us before. They're just slow learners, but they'll get it.
Sheriff, people online are saying, you know, what good does it do arresting these people? Within a few days, they'll be out of jail, back on the street doing the same thing again.
Well, I suggest to you that it does a lot of good, because we're dealing with health issues here. We're dealing with a guy who was HIV positive that wanted to have sex with a child. If we hadn't have done this undercover operation, he would have been out potentially hooking up with a 14-year-old child. Other of these people were HIV positive, so they would have been sending it home to their significant others. So you have a health problem, you have a human trafficking problem, in that these guys, keep in mind, they are buying the services of these ladies, many of which are victims of human trafficking and or have been victims of human trafficking and need help and don't have a way out. They're creating the environment. If it weren't for these guys, these ladies here couldn't work. So at the end of the day, this is about us doing what's right. And I suggest that those that are on social media or any other media saying, well, it's just a business relationship by two consenting adults, don't understand or don't want to understand or don't care. We care. We care about every one of those folks, and we care enough to arrest them if they don't behave. We care enough to help them if they'll let us help them. But we will not give up. That's our promise.
Can I add to that?
Sure.
For those two minors that were helped and now will have opportunities for a way out, it matters a lot. This is not a minor problem. And many of us, like myself, like Dr. Marianne Thomas, we're survivor leaders today. And had someone been able to, through an operation like this, put a stop to us being sold as teenagers, our whole lives, like years of destruction, could have been stopped. We could have had many more years to serve and be part of our communities like we are today. So this is not a minor problem, even with the adult ones who think that, okay, I'm just here and I'm doing this by choice. The reality is, if you go back to their teenage years and their childhoods, they were suffering from childhood trauma, sexual exploitation, and being sold. And that means that long before that day, we all as a community should have done things like this operation to make sure that we take those people off the streets and that services are offered and that especially the minor children are provided a way out. Thank you.
Chris, did the two 17-year-olds, did they go into the shelter now, and then specifically, how do you help them?
Yeah, we can't answer questions about where they are. There's many paths, and it depends on a lot of things. The Department of Children and Families does an excellent job at assessing the best choice for human trafficking victims. They partner with us locally and many organizations throughout the state. They also partner, we're a provider at One More Child for the Open Doors Outreach Network, provides mobile 24/7 crisis care. The Open Doors Outreach Network, again, is in 32 counties. And DCF will partner with us. If they're in our counties, it will be One More Child who will stand beside them for years to come. If they are in another county where there's Open Doors services, they will again reach out in that provider, and we will all wrap services around them no matter where they are. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
And the juveniles weren't charged. Okay. Yes, sir.
Sheriff, you see the success of a sting like this, do you have other agencies in Florida or around the country who give you a call and say, what the heck are you doing down there? How do we get something like this going where we're at?
Yes, St. Petersburg Police Department joined us this time and helped us with this operation and learned about our system. We have a very detailed, very complex system, and our detectives and supervisors are simply the very best at doing this because they have taken the law and said, what can we legally do and how can we best do it and how can we do it with a process that allows us to get large volumes of people. I can remember back in the day when we thought it was a successful operation if we could wrangle in 2 or 3 or 4 a night. And we could have never put this many people in custody and created an environment for them to receive services just because we didn't have the resources and or understand how to do it. This is remarkable work by our team of supervisors and our other agencies that join us. And we get this energy by working together, and we teach it and we coach it across the state and nation, but make no mistake about it. And I say this clearly and unequivocally without any reservation. Many law enforcement agencies in this nation don't do a dadgum thing about the crime until it makes noise publicly. Well, my job and the job of these law enforcement officers that work for all of us and the chiefs are to protect everyone all the time. So this is the folks that don't make noise, that are hidden, and we have to find them where they are to help them, and that's what we do.
Sheriff, when you arrest this many people at one time, does that put a strain on your system?
No, sir, we always have room in the county jail for all that want to come. We have our deputies, our detention deputies, we all prepare for these undercover operations, and they actually get really excited about it because we know we're changing people's lives for the good. We know that we're calling out some guys to their families, and that's not a happy thing for the family, but I believe the wife needs to know if you're out here messing around with people that are potentially HIV positive. So if you don't like it, quit it. And for the wives, I'm sorry that you're caught up in this situation, but now you know what kind of a scoundrel you married. Okay?
Is there help for, not the victims on this board, but for example, the wives of these men? Is there something available to them?
Anyone that comes forward that needs counseling, direction, help, we will make sure they get it. Families, children, we turn no one down. We will refer everyone for services that needs it because we understand there was a total shock to probably most of those 30 ladies. Now, I was at the operation one night when a man and a woman both showed up, and I looked at her and I go, "What are y'all doing here?" And she said, "Well, he was coming anyway. I thought I'd show up." Well, duh. I can't explain all that.
Sheriff, this is James Michaels. Do you believe there's any local victims? If he's willing to come here thinking that he was meeting a child, do you think he's been going after children in our local areas?
You don't wake up at 34 years of age with over 200 pieces of child porn in your cell phone and not fantasize about or take advantage of children every time you get the opportunity. And he was aggressive. He was very aggressive. Sometimes we have to interact with these sexual predators for days, weeks, or months before they build up enough courage. These two showed up like that. They were on a mission to have sex with a child. One of these guys being HIV positive, but we were on a mission to stop it, and that's what our detectives did.
And at this point, do you believe there's any local victims of these guys?
We don't know. We certainly want to know. If there are other victims, if they'll come forward, we'll do our very best to get them services and add on charges, which would just warm my heart to add more charges onto those sexual predators. Because they don't deserve the air they breathe, much less to walk around in society with children. Anything else? I appreciate y'all being here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Went well, didn't it?
It went very well. Thank